Hey everyone, I hope you're having an awesome week. This week is actually pretty special to me because Friday marks my 6-year anniversary of being on YouTube. And that's kind of hard to believe actually. I can't believe it's already been 6 years that I've been posting on here. And I know that some of you have actually been watching since the very beginning and some of you guys are newer. And I kind of realized that I've never really talked about my personal story in depth on my YouTube channel. It's something now that I talk about a lot at my live shows when I'm touring, but it's not something that I've really shared, maybe just bits and pieces here and there, but I haven't really just dedicated a video to my music journey and my journey on YouTube before. So I wanted to do something a little different and kind of give you guys a really personal look at what this has all meant to me and what this journey has been like over the last 6 years and kind of how I started my channel and how it's grown into where it's at now. So I hope this is interesting for some of you guys. I'm excited to share it with you. I first kind of want to just let you guys know how I got started with music in general and specifically with the violin, because a lot of people ask me that. I started playing when I was about 8 years old, and it was just kind of an out of the blue type thing. I hadn't really remembered showing any interest in music up until the point that I started learning the violin, but I was at a elementary school assembly and it was a Christmas assembly. This young girl took the stage with a violin and she started playing Silent Night. For whatever reason, that performance just really enthralled me, and I specifically remember that moment and that feeling of wanting to learn how to play that instrument. And it was just something that I've never experienced before, so I think that's why I remember it so vividly. But I went home right after school and kind of begged my parents if I could start taking violin lessons, and it was totally out of the blue, but my mom said she was actually really excited because she loved the violin as an instrument and had always kind of wanted one of her kids to play it, so it worked out well. And definitely thank you, Mom and Dad, for all those years of lessons, because totally wouldn't be here without you. So I started taking lessons, and there were so many times when I wanted to quit the violin because it is a hard instrument, and especially when you're first starting out and you're young, and I certainly wasn't very focused. I was way more concerned with playing video games at the time when I was growing up than I was with the violin. But my mom was really an amazing supporter, and she kept me motivated. She actually, to incentivize me to practice, I had to play 30 minutes of violin before I could play my video games. So that was kind of how I got into a practice routine early on in life, which is pretty funny, but it was a great motivator and it worked. So it kind of went hand in hand as I grew up. By the time I was in middle school, I started playing with some different youth orchestras. I started playing with my school orchestra, started getting into some community orchestras and chamber music, quartet groups, fiddle group even. So I played a lot of different types of music when I was growing up, and I didn't really feel totally connected to a lot of it. I was enjoying playing the violin, but the type of music that I was playing wasn't something that I ever felt really passionate about. About that same time in middle school, I actually went through a couple of very dark years, is what I refer to them as. I was very depressed. I was bullied a lot in school. A lot of it was for my nerdy interests because I was very different from a lot of the girls, especially at that time. I was playing video games, I was watching anime like Dragon Ball Z, and people were making fun of me for that, so that wasn't the most fun to deal with. I've been hit over the head with a lunch tray, I've been pushed in lockers, I've also gotten rumors spread about me, attacked in chat rooms, pretty much ran the gambit of all of that kind of bullying. So I was really, had a couple of years there where I was very sad. I actually used to cut myself as well. And one of the only things that got me through those times were my video games. I don't really know what I would have done, honestly, if I hadn't have had those video games to turn to, because I didn't have many close friends at the time, and you're in that weird phase of growing up and transitioning into your teen years, and so you're kind of just all over the place emotionally anyway. And video games just provided a really amazing and positive escape for me. It was a place where I could go and just kind of be myself, not feel judged, and I was really also getting into the music part of it at that time, because that was when I was playing a lot of the RPGs like Final Fantasy VII, and 9 is another one of my favorites, Chrono Trigger, all of those awesome games with amazing music. So that was kind of a big turning point in my life in a lot of ways, and video games and music were a huge part of what helped get me through a lot of those tough years. By the time I got to high school, things got a lot better. I was still playing in different orchestras and active with my violin, but again, I wasn't feeling super passionate about it, and everyone at that point was starting to think about their future and college and careers after college. And everything that I had heard from people about music and having a career in music was that it was nearly impossible. And the only way that you could have a career in music was to either teach or basically be, you know, good enough to get into one of these orchestras that could pay you enough to live off of. So it seemed like chances were going to be pretty slim for me to do anything with my violin. When I got to college, I was feeling pretty burnt out about music in general. I had some pretty negative experiences in some of the youth orchestras that I was in, and again, I just didn't feel very connected to the type of music that I was playing all the time, so I didn't really take it too seriously in college. I just minored in violin performance for scholarship purposes. I majored in public relations, and I had a bunch of different business internships when I was in college, so I was pretty resigned to the fact that I was just gonna have some sort of office day job. Right before I graduated, though, I started to kind of be sad about the thought that I wasn't going to have a career in music. It was something that I had done so many years of my life, and you know, I had put a lot of identity into being associated with the violin, and so it was kind of weird to me to think that the next phase of my life wasn't going to have anything to do with music. So when I did graduate, I moved back home. I moved in with my parents because I was not making much money. I taught violin lessons for a little while, and then I got a business job at a nonprofit. I decided I wanted to see if there was any way I could keep music in my life. I started messing around with some different composition and production software, and I was really bad on it. And I produced like 3 songs that were not very high quality, and I put them on a MySpace page, and literally like no one listened to them. And so that was kind of sad. As a side note, one of those original songs that I made way back then actually turned into Dawn of Hope for my last original album, so it's way better production this time. MySpace definitely didn't work out, so I was trying to figure out other ways to maybe keep music in my life, and just randomly one day I was looking online on YouTube for Final Fantasy music because it's my favorite music. So I saw these people posting covers on various different instruments of themselves playing these Final Fantasy songs. And I thought to myself, you know, maybe that's the way to start, and maybe that's what I should do. I love this type of music. It'd be fun to share it with people. People are watching these other people who are playing on these other instruments, and you know, maybe I can contribute and see if anyone wants to watch me, and eventually maybe they'll be interested in my original stuff too. In the beginning, I was doing everything myself, so my videos were very low quality. It was like the typical in the spare bedroom, put the camera on the tripod, and that's really all I could invest in at the time. And as I noticed my channel started to grow, I started to reinvest money from what I was making at my business job back into my YouTube channel. So I bought an external microphone, and then I bought some computer software to try and learn how to record myself better so that it at least sounded better, because I was living in Michigan at the time and I didn't know anyone who was doing professional videos, and I knew that that was probably very expensive and out of my price range at the time that I was starting out. So I just kept doing them in the spare bedroom, and I increased my audio quality as much as I could in the meantime. I collaborated with a lot of different YouTube channels early on, made a lot of really nice friends. It was just a really exciting time because I never had one of those viral videos, but my channel was just consistently getting more views and more subscribers and more interaction, and people were saying how much they were enjoying the music, and it was amazing to me to see how many people there were out there with similar taste in music to myself, because this was the kind of stuff that I was getting made fun of for when I was younger, and then now this was the kind of thing that was actually getting attention online with a bunch of other people who apparently shared the same taste. So it was really cool for me to see, you know, and interact with all of these different people who really appreciated this type of music. So I just kept posting a lot of my personal favorites. I started posting some of my favorite film music as well, and also anime, TV shows. I always kind of stuck with this genre just because it is what I'm most passionate about. I love the soundtrack type music. So a couple years into my YouTube channel now, and it's growing and people are enjoying it, and I'm still working this business job but not enjoying it. And I really wanted to focus my efforts on music and see if I could take it to the next level and maybe turn it into a career. I decided to kind of take a little bit of a risk and quit my business day job and focus 100% of my efforts into my music and my YouTube channel. I was very fortunate to be able to do that because my parents were letting me stay at their house rent-free, so I wasn't worried about, being out on the streets or anything like that. So it was really an amazing gift that they gave me to let me do that for a few months while I produced my first album. I arranged, orchestrated, and produced the entire album by myself, and mostly because I didn't know of anybody else who could help me with it, and I really didn't have the money to hire anybody to do it. So I did everything myself, and I recorded everything myself in a little makeshift home studio that I had made that was pretty low budget. And still to this day, I've always recorded and edited my violin parts myself in my home studio for all of my albums and singles. I've actually never gone into a studio and paid studio time just because it saves so much time and money to be able to do it myself, so I'm really glad that I had to learn how to do that early on. Up until that point, I had made no money from YouTube because the copyright stuff has always been very weird on YouTube, but especially for music and video game stuff, it was just not happening early on, so I wasn't monetizing any of my videos because I didn't want to get copyright strikes. So I wasn't making any money, and I quit the job and just started working on an album because I figured that was the only way that I could be able to support myself and also support bigger and better projects in the future if I started making some income from this. So I kind of made a deal with myself. If my first album did well enough when I got the numbers back after releasing it, then I would continue on and see if I could really turn music into a full-time career. And if it didn't, then I was gonna go back to looking for a different type of business job because I figured that would tell me that there wasn't much interest for what I was doing and that it was probably better to just maybe keep it as a side thing. So you guys really determined my future on that one because when I released Gaming Fantasy, it's not like it charted on the Billboard charts or anything, but enough of you did buy it and support it to make me think, hey, there is something here and people like this album, people like this music, and if I keep creating more albums, then I'll be able to actually, have a living for myself and also invest in bigger productions for my music and videos. So after I released that album, I started working on a Christmas album just kind of for fun and to try and hone my production skills a little bit more because this wasn't something that I was ever formally trained in. It was all from just watching tutorials online and reading different articles. And then I did a collaborative album with Laura. I loved working with her on that. And that also provided me with some extra income as well to try and start doing some better productions with my videos. I also reconnected with one of my high school friends, Megan, and she filmed some of my most popular videos actually. We filmed Naruto, Sadness and Sorrow together, Game of Thrones. I had bought like a nicer camera, but I still didn't have the money to really pay professionals, and so Megan was awesome by just lending her time and her talents to help me create some of those early, nicer quality videos. After that, I worked with my first real professional videographer and director, Landon Donahoe, and he's still someone that I work with today. He's a great friend now too, and we've just kept working together ever since we did the first project together, which was my Journey medley. I also connected with an amazing group called 5th Gen Films. They've filmed a ton of my videos too. And I went out to Oregon for the first time to film my first original song as a music video, which was Nebulous. And then also, that's when I met Peter Hollins for the first time, and we filmed the Reigns of Castamere together on that trip. And also, that is when we filmed my most popular video to date, which is He's a Pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean. After that first trip to Oregon, I discovered this new site called Patreon, and it's kind of like a way for people to tip or give you a little something for the content that you're creating on a regular basis. And that has made such a world of a difference to what I've been able to do creatively, because like I said, for such a long time I was never making any money with YouTube, and I was using what I was making for my albums not only to live off of, but to fund all of those other projects. So having people come in from Patreon to support what I was doing visually made such a huge difference, and I started being able to create really nice quality content, working with 5th Gen, working with Landon on a regular basis because of the people who are supporting me on Patreon. So huge shout out to all my Patreon supporters. It's really made a big difference in what I've been able to do, especially those early years. Growing on YouTube kind of led to some other opportunities too. So in 2014, I talked with an agency about doing some of my own live shows. I didn't have a management team, I didn't have an agent, and the agent wasn't going to sign me. They just wanted to kind of experiment and see if there was an interest in me performing live. So I did my first 2 live shows in 2014 in April, and those were in San Francisco and New York. And again, huge shout out to those people who came to those first shows because I was so terrified to perform. I was so nervous. I'd never done a show like that myself. And up until that point, you know, most of what I'd been doing was just online. So I didn't have a lot of live solo performance experience, but the shows went really well and people were so nice and genuinely seemed to enjoy themselves, and so it seemed like it might be something that I could continue in the future. Tried 2 more shows in the fall that same year, and that time I brought my very good friend Salome along to play piano with me. And those went well too. I loved playing those live shows. I seriously had so much fun. It was such an amazing experience. And it was so fun to actually meet my audience for the first time in person because so much of it has always been online. So it was really special, and I was hoping to do more of it. But the agent that I was working with wasn't interested in continuing with more after that first and second batch of shows because they didn't really sell out. So we just parted ways nicely, and I was really grateful that she gave me the opportunity to begin with to try it out. And I figured, you know, maybe if I kept growing my channel, there would be a way for me to do more of those in the future. Thankfully, that's kind of what happened because just a year ago in April, I signed with a management team for the first time and with an agency, and we started planning my first tour, which was my fall tour last year. And that was such an amazing experience. I loved it. I had so much fun. I'm so grateful that this is something that I get to do now on a regular basis. At that point, I had already been on YouTube for 5 years, and I was pretty nervous to let other people into the equation because I had just been self-managing everything up until that point. And yeah, you always hear things from people about watch out for managers or people just trying to prey on you in the industry, but honestly, I'm with a very, very wonderful group of people. They didn't want to change what I was doing, they just wanted to help grow what I was doing, and they've done an awesome job with the touring and everything else, and I feel like I'm in very good hands working with them. The fact that people came out to the shows for the fall tour in the US meant that we wanted to try it out in Europe because I know I have such an amazing audience in Europe, and we wanted to give that a try even though we didn't know how it was gonna go, and I'm so glad that we did that. What an awesome experience that was too, and just really amazing to meet so many of you, and can't wait to be back again very soon. I'm still an independent musician and always have been, and pretty much always plan on staying that way. Being independent has allowed me to really just post what I want and what I feel the most passionate about and what I know my audience feels the most passionate about. It's really amazing to have that kind of freedom, and you guys are basically my label. You guys are the ones who are supporting everything that I'm doing and the reason that I can afford to just do my own thing independently and not have to rely on a big company or something like that. So that's been huge, and a reason why I've been able to stay true to the kind of music that, you know, I'm the most passionate about. So I really appreciate that because that's a tough choice for a lot of people to have to make, and you guys supporting me has made this, you know, an easy choice for me and something that I get to continue doing into the future. So I really appreciate that. Also, because I've been able to remain independent, it's really given me the freedom to always choose who I wanted to work with, both for collaborations and on my projects. And that's been so amazing because I've made such good friends with the people I work with, and that's really a blessing because I don't do everything by myself anymore like I used to, and I do have to involve other people in my projects. And you know, you hear a lot about this industry and the negatives and about how people are trying to take advantage of people constantly, and you you know, I really have been very blessed that I've only encountered one instance of that with somebody that I've worked with, and you know, you just move on. You don't work with that person anymore because you have the freedom to do so. And everyone else I've worked with has been an amazing friend to me and just wonderful people. So I'm so incredibly grateful that I've had the freedom to work with amazing people and then, you know, choose not to work with not so amazing people if I need to. So I've been really fortunate. I mean, the positives have far outweighed the negatives, and not just with the people I work with, but also the activity that I see on my YouTube channel and my social media. I have to say, I'm so blown away by the incredible positive community that we have on all of my different social media sites. Like, you guys are amazing. You're always leaving inspirational, encouraging, and sweet and thoughtful things, and that's been so wonderful for me to have for the last 6 years. I really have appreciated that too, because I am a positive person and I love being around positive people, and just having a career like this could be hit or miss in terms of how it feels, and it's felt overwhelmingly positive, and you guys are a huge reason that it has remained like a very good and positive experience for me. I feel very blessed and very proud that, you know, we've been able to create such a positive community together. So that's kind of my whole story of how I got started on YouTube and how this whole thing evolved. And, you know, I just want to say such a huge thank you to all of you who have been there since the beginning, or been there since yesterday, or whenever you started watching my stuff and supporting it. It's honestly meant the world to me. I didn't know that this type of career existed when I started doing this, and this has really exceeded like any sort of dream that I might have had for what I would have been doing with music. And I feel so blessed, I feel so privileged to be in this position, and you know, you guys are absolutely 100% the reason that I'm here and that I'm still able to do this 6 years later, and even bigger and better than before. Everything's growing. I'm gonna be doing more touring this year. It's just really so awesome to have your support, and I just want you guys to know how much it means to me and just how grateful I am for it, because this is, like I said, not what I expected my life to look like at this point, and I'm just very grateful for everything. A lot of people ask me like what my favorite part of what I do is, and it's definitely evolved over time because my career has changed so much in the last 6 years. But definitely the fact that you guys share with me that what I'm doing has had some sort of positive impact on your life, and whether that's just for the pure entertainment value that you get out of my videos, or something a little bit deeper maybe where it's really had some sort of emotional impact on you, where it's helped you through a difficult time, or maybe it's even inspired you in some way to play the violin or pick up an old instrument that you used to play, or just inspired in any way. You guys share your stories with me, and I love reading them. I love reading the comments, and it is like a privilege, and it's humbling to know that I'm doing something that sometimes has that kind of a positive impact on people. And that's something going forward that I always hope to keep with whatever I'm doing. And it's just definitely the part about my job that I love the most, because that makes me so happy to know that, you know, what I'm doing is having that kind of a positive impact on people. And I'm really grateful that you guys, you know, are sharing that with me, because it really motivates me and gets me even more excited about what I'm doing. So thank you guys so much. So now that we've talked about everything that's led up to now, I want to tell you guys a little bit about the future and some of the upcoming projects I have going on. So right now I'm working on my next album, and it's going to be another album of original music. I'm so excited about it. I've already completed a couple of the tracks, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear some of this. So I'm hoping to release that this fall. I'm also going to be doing more touring, both in the US and Europe, and I'm going to be announcing those dates hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for some tour date information. And of course, as usual, I'll be uploading more music videos and also more like vlog and violin tutorial, all of that kind of stuff on my second channel too. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I know it was a long one and not my usual thing, but I just wanted to show you guys a little bit more of a personal side here and share with you like this whole story, because it is amazing, and it's, you know, 100% you and me making this together, and I wouldn't be here without you guys. So I just wanted to let you guys know how this all came to be and what a huge impact you had on this and my life. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you again very soon.